Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Friday to everybody. Welcome to the beer drinking stream. Man, I'm fired up. I don't even know why I'm fired up. First of all, it's Friday. I realized about like 30 minutes before the stream started, I was like, it's a beer drinking stream. I got to have beer, right? So I went to open my fridge, and there was no beer in there. So I had to run to the store real quick and just got back, so I'm a little bit out of breath. But what I got here today is Sweetwater IPA. Now, I'm not one of these hoity-toity IPA drinkers, but I'll drink it every once in a while. Sweetwater is a good beer, too. Sweetwater 420, that's another one of my favorites. I realize it's not 5 o'clock, everywhere yet, but when you guys get off work, if you're not off work yet, go ahead and crack a beer. Obviously, today's a call-in show. If you want to call in and talk about anything, we could talk about the NFL. We could talk about Antonio Brown. We could talk about Miami and Florida game being moved up to week 0. We can talk about LSU being cheaters in basketball. They got the FBI breathing down their neck. And the reason this is funny to me is because, first of all, I don't care, right? Like, you read something like that, it's funny. It's funny to me because I'm sure all of you know who TJ LSU Dad is, right? The video maker for LSU. Well, he spent like a week trolling Clemson on his YouTube channel and all over Twitter, talking about their cheaters, take away all their wins, vacate the national championship. And then this happens to LSU. And I went on his channel because after I heard it, I went on his channel. Anyway, he made a video about it, talking about they're innocent. I could tell he was just being funny about it. But so I made a comment. The only thing I wrote on there was one word. I said cheaters, which means I'm probably going to be banned on his channel now just for typing cheaters, because that's the main thing I got on my YouTube channel after the whole PED thing with Clemson was cheaters, you're cheaters. So I went on there and just said cheaters and, with a laughing face. So that probably got me banned from TJ LSU Dad's channel. But anyway, it's funny. This whole thing with Antonio Brown, and it has nothing to do with Carolina Panthers, has nothing to do with anything. The reason I'm fired up about the Antonio Brown thing is because of what I see all over social media. And it has nothing to do with him. It just proves to me, that my brain works in a much different way than most people. Now, that's probably my problem. That probably means there's something wrong with me. But it doesn't change the way I feel about things. And so I have a definite opinion on the way this whole Antonio Brown thing's being spread around the news. I also have a feelings, you've already seen my Kyler Murray stuff, and I put those two guys in the same sort of box as far as the way that they're scrutinized by the media. So before I go on my rant and before anybody calls in, let me do some shout outs here in the comment section. Before I do that, though, I want to make sure I give a big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for your support. For the guys that won the contest, by the way, so DeGoat Watson won the $50 Visa gift card. I did not have a chance to mail that out today. I'll either mail it out tomorrow or Monday morning. I promise. So you'll get it within the next week or 10 days, however long the mail takes to get to you. And Catfish and Small Vol, I'm going to order your shirts this weekend. Probably tomorrow or Sunday, and so they'll ship out next week. And I'm assuming it'll take 7 to 10 days to get to you. So I didn't forget about you. I didn't get to do it today. Let me check the chat here real quick. Good afternoon, Comic Dude 45, Nick Bro in the house, Boilermakers Forever, Prince 6'1", my man, Ramon Jordan, Hound Dog in the house says, yo, Dan Mullet, I haven't seen you here in a while, man. Welcome back. The QCs says, sup Shades, and that might be my new nickname. He calls me Shades, obviously, because I wear shades. Go down here. I think it's Oakland because John Gruden was supposed to come along coaching Clinic, Tennessee. All right, so I don't necessarily want to go into the whole thing about what team he's going to go to. I spent enough time on that on YouTube and Twitter. But let me give a shout out real quick to my man Spencer from Rover Sports, because I just literally before I came on the stream, I was looking at a video that he just uploaded like an hour ago, and he was like saying, who would ever want to trade for this guy? Why would anybody want this guy on their team? And what he's saying on his video is the same thing that I'm hearing a lot of people say on Twitter and Facebook, and from the mainstream media and on YouTube. Look, it's simple. The reason people are willing to trade for him is because he's one of the best players in the NFL. And this is where I get upset. This is what triggers me. Is being a Panthers fan, I've been dealing with the same stuff with Cam Newton. And I think we expect these professional athletes are getting paid $20 million a year in Antonio Brown's case, and a lot of these quarterbacks like Cam Newton getting paid like $25 million a year. We expect them to have the same sort of rules to play by like me and you would have at our normal 9-to-5 job, where we're getting paid whatever, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year or whatever. It's a different world. Listen, Antonio Brown is not getting paid to be an ass kisser. He's not getting paid to get on his knees and service Ben Roethlisberger or Mike Tomlin or anybody else. The reason they're paying him is because he's one of the most productive wide receivers, one of the most productive players in the NFL. And he's catching a lot of touchdowns, and he's winning you games, and he's selling tickets to fill your stadium up. And people are watching TV to watch people like him, and they're boosting the advertising ratings. This guy doesn't owe anything to anybody. And people like Ben Roethlisberger, I don't like Ben Roethlisberger. It has nothing to do with Antonio Brown, but the difference between people like Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger, at least Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr., at least they're up front and wear their heart on their sleeve and tell you what they're thinking. People like Ben Roethlisberger like to go behind people's back and talk crap and blame coaches. Remember that game, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 years ago. At the end of the game, the Steelers lost it. I think it might have been a playoff game or I think it was a playoff game. And after the game, Ben Roethlisberger was blaming the offensive coordinator. He's blaming Antonio Brown, always saying stuff, in jest behind his back. This passive-aggressive type mentality that Ben Roethlisberger's got. And people say, well, Antonio Brown, he should be thankful he's got a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's the reason he's so successful. Well, it works both ways. Over the past 6 years, how much more inflated have Ben Roethlisberger's stats been because he's throwing the ball to Antonio Brown? And at least Antonio Brown is up front. You could say a lot of things about Antonio Brown or Cam Newton, but you can't call them liars. And as a matter of fact, Cam Newton, whether you love him or hate him, and you can say he's a crybaby and he walks out on his interviews and he pouts on the sideline and this and that, fine. If you don't like him because of that, that's your prerogative. One thing you've never seen Cam Newton do in his entire career at Carolina is ever blame another player, throw another player under the bus, or blame a coach. That's a punk move, and that's what people like Ben Roethlisberger do. You don't see Tom Brady and Drew Brees and Russell Wilson throwing people under the bus, blaming players and coaches. But Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have no problem doing that. I've never heard a former or a current player ever go out of their way to say anything nice about Ben Roethlisberger. Ever. I've heard plenty of players come out and say that Cam Newton is a team player and a hard worker and a great guy. Never heard that about Ben Roethlisberger. What's up? Big Ben is a god? No, he's not. Big Ben is a dumbass. Thank you. I agree. I don't like him at all. I wouldn't want him on my team. I really wouldn't. Let me see if anybody's on the phone line here. I got off track. Anybody wants to call in, the number is 855-902-9368. Call in. Disagree with me about what I'm saying about Ben Roethlisberger or Antonio Brown. If you want to talk about the Gators in Miami, week 0, they moved that game. That game's all the way back to like August 24th, I think. Hold on, I think I got a caller on the line here. Hopefully it's not just somebody screaming profanity into the phone here. We'll find out in a second. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Good afternoon. It's Comic Dude. What up?
Hey, what's up, Comic Dude? How you doing, man? Thanks for calling in. What you want to talk about?
I'm amazing and fantastic, and I'd like to talk about the LSU scandal, if that's what we'll call it.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Yes. I kind of want to talk about it because it has an impact on Rutgers basketball because they took a recruit from us in Andre High, and I think he's like a wing or something like that. So, cheating LSU. Remember, emphasize the L.
So the recruit that you lost to LSU, what year was that? Because as far as I can tell from what I've read, and I haven't read a whole lot on it, so I'm not going to pretend to like I know a whole lot about this, but they're saying that these wiretaps are from 2017, which is 2 years ago now. So do you know what year that recruit was?
Okay, it was definitely not 2017. He was probably 2019.
Okay. But I guess the smart thing to do would be assume that if this coach was engaging in paying players or offering players money or whatever the accusation is in 2017, that they're probably still doing it now, right? I mean, that's the smart thing to assume.
Yeah. I mean, they only found 2017. Who's to say they won't find something from 2019? You never know.
Yeah, and so I'm really, to be honest, I don't follow basketball very closely. I mean, I follow it, like an average person. I don't follow it near as close as I do football. So I know LSU has had a pretty good team in the past few years. I also know that they've had a pretty good team this year. They beat Kentucky this year, right? And I think they're supposed to go to the tournament, So let me ask you this: do you follow
the top 5?
All right, so you follow basketball.
Yeah, not as much nationally. Definitely more of Big Ten basketball and both men's and women's.
All right, so from what you know, from the limited amount of information that we have about this, are they going to eliminate LSU from the tournament this year, or is that something that happens, after the whole appeals process, and that happens, next year or the year after that? How does that all work? I don't know.
Well, I'm not entirely sure, but my guess is that since it's this late in the season, it's obviously going to take some time to fully gather up all the facts. I don't think they're going to get banned this year, but definitely if they find LSU guilty of a lot of recruiting violations, then they're definitely getting a postseason ban.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is that if they don't get banned this year, let's say they go on to go to the Final Four, let's say they go on to win the national championship, which probably won't happen, but if they did, then it's going to be taken away from them a year or two from now. I mean, whatever they do this year is going to get eliminated anyway, right? Most likely. I don't know. They could be vacated of all charges. I have no idea about any of this, but I do know one thing because I wasn't born yesterday. I was born on a Thursday, but it wasn't yesterday. And if the FBI is tapping your phone, then there's something going on there, because I don't think the FBI just goes out and gets a warrant to tap people's phones if there's nothing going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'll troll LSU fans about this for a day or two just because it's fun to do it. But first of all, is anybody surprised about this? I'm not. Not because it's LSU or anybody else. It's just I actually all the people that say things about NFL or not NFL, college football schools paying players like Alabama and Clemson or whoever the hot team is at the time. If they're doing good in football, they must be buying their players and this and that. I actually think this is a much more rampant problem in basketball than it is in football because of the one and done rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. So I think the obviously the trolling it comes out of jealousy. Like, I'm kind of to be honest, I'm kind of jealous of Clemson football because come on, you guys are really good and my team sucks, but that's beside the point. Like, I'm jealous. I'm kind of jealous, but you're not going to see me trolling. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you troll, trolling's one thing, but people take it to a whole nother level. And listen, I was jealous. I was jealous of Florida State and Ohio State and Oklahoma and all these other teams for the first 30 years of my life as a Clemson fan. So that's why I don't have any love lost now that Clemson's a powerhouse and now that they're on the top of the college football world. And people are all like, "Oh, you can't handle success. You're going overboard and you're being arrogant about it." Yeah, I'm being arrogant about it because the vast majority of my life, Clemson was not that team that was winning. So now that they are, I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to beat my chest as long as I can because you know what? 5 years from now, they might not be winning again. So why would I not enjoy it while I can? You know?
Like, I think you probably, if Rutgers football somehow win the national championship, I do like the beating the chest, like, whoa, you know?
Yeah. I'm not sure that. So let's give me a little bit of history on Rutgers, because I'm not an expert on Rutgers either. Give me their football history. Have they ever won a national championship?
I don't blame. We share one with Princeton from the first game in 1869. So yeah.
All right. So 1869.
We played yeah.
All right. So that's.
So yeah, it's a long time coming.
Yeah, that's 1869. There was football in 1869.
Yep, we played the first ever game. We beat Princeton 6-4. Go Knights!
So you own the very first national championship ever in the history of football?
Well, we share it with Princeton, but yeah, you get the idea.
So out of all the teams that have a drought in national championships, Rutgers has the longest drought of all of them, except for the ones who haven't won one ever.
Mm.
All right.
You know, call me, like, you're not going to believe when even Kansas has won a national title.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, Duke, Georgia Tech. I mean, there's lots of teams that are not considered to be very good right now that have won either one or multiple national titles. So.
Yeah.
Well,
I
was going to say, I'm not a fan of any Big Ten team. You know that. So
yeah,
I would like to see a team like Rutgers, one of the smaller underdog type teams do well. That's why Purdue, same way. You know, some of these teams that nobody gives a shot that are in the Big Ten, I'd like to see them do well because I don't have a dog in the fight. And so I'm always going to root for the underdog if I don't have a dog in the fight.
Got it. Yeah, hopefully the 150th anniversary is the charm. I just hope that. When's
that? Is that this year?
Yeah, this year, 2019, 150th anniversary.
Well, I wouldn't count on it, but there's always hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope is on life support.
Yeah. All right, man. Well,
yeah.
You got anything else for me? I don't have anybody else on the line, so if you got anything else for me, I'm all ears.
Well, I honestly, I don't think I really have much else because anything like it'd be like venting frustrations, and it'd be like, I really don't have anything else. What can I say?
All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, nice talking to you. I'll see you in the mod chat.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
There you go. That's Comic Dude 45. Big supporter of the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel, which automatically makes him amazing and fantastic, like he said at the beginning of the call there. Let me go back into the chat here and see what you guys are talking about. So I just see in the chat, what's up, Catfish and the Volunteer Roadshow? How you doing, sir? The Crowing Cock. What up, Pete? On my way to Charleston right now. What are you coming to Charleston for? To Goat Watson in the house. I'm stuck at work. Just came to drop a like and say a great show. I will try to continue listening. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So the Miami and Florida game, I think, is going to be moved to week 0, as they would call it. August 24th, I think it is. And the only games that are on that week, I think, are like group of 5 games and maybe some FCS games or something. I like it. I think it's a good idea. There's some other really good week 1 matchups, so that'll free up some airtime to watch both Miami and Florida play week 0, and then some of these other matchups that happen on week 1. Plus, by the time that the college football season starts, everybody's starving for football. And I wouldn't mind watching a group of 5 game or whatever that week. If you're a Florida fan or if you're a Miami fan, you got to be super stoked that you're going to be the only game on in the Power 5 that week, and it's going to be a primetime game. So it's almost a de facto game day type situation. So I'm looking forward to it. I heard somebody on the radio saying, they got to get ready a week earlier, and they might not be ready to play. I'm like, they've had 8 months to prepare for this game. What do you mean they're not going to be ready? We Were the Storm. How you doing, sir? College football is a bigger product than college basketball. Yes, but the rules in college football are different. And you see a lot more people, a lot more schools getting in trouble for these types of violations in basketball than you do in football. And I think it is because of the one and done. Every year is a new team, like a brand new team, especially for these places like Duke and North Carolina and LSU, Kentucky. So there's a bigger market out there for these one and done teams to pay players. I think a bigger draw to that than there would be in football when you have somebody for 3 years. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It makes sense to me, which probably means it doesn't make sense at all. The Volunteer Roadshow, Catfish, coming through with a $10 super chat. That enters you into the next super chat contest, sir. You join the likes of Michael Sachs, who has 4 entries, Cole, who's a Missouri fan, who has 1 entry, and now Catfish is trying to win all these contests. Look at him. Gets 10 more entries. Thank you, sir. I won the last drawing, and I'm winning the next one, too. See? Told you. All right, real quick, let me check and see if anybody else is on the line here. I hate to leave people waiting on the line. All right, looks like I got somebody here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up. I got 2 calls on the line. The one that just came in, wait 1 second. I'll get to you in a minute. I'm going to pick this other one up first. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete. Uh-oh. Try that again. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
What's up, Pete? How you doing, man?
Hey, who is this?
This is Ramon, a.k.a. Category Live.
Hey,
biggest team fan in the game right now.
All right, man. I appreciate you calling in. What you want to talk about?
Obviously the big game that got moved up a week ahead to week 0. That's a big deal for me, especially.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts on it. First of all, are you happy about it being moved up?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody to say, that they're upset because it's a week less of preparation, I mean, come on. Is that even really a real thing?
Yeah.
How much time in the off season?
Exactly. And I heard that like on ESPN or Fox Sports or something on satellite radio. I listen to sports talk radio more than I watch TV, really, more than I even watch YouTube. Right. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like sometimes these guys run out of stuff to talk about. Like for them to say stuff like that, I'm like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts on the game. Now you're a Miami fan, right?
Yeah, big time.
All right. So give me your thoughts on the game. Obviously, you guys had Manny Diaz coming in there. You got a lot of changes. So let me ask you this: what's the 411 on Tate Martell as far as getting a waiver? Did he get it or not?
It's still an ongoing situation. Our AD was actually just on the radio this morning, Miami radio, and he was still saying they're in the dark about it. And Miami already has a little bit of something going on with the NCAA already, because I don't know how much college basketball you followed, but our star player, DeJuan Hernandez, was actually ineligible for the whole season. So we're really, kind of like gritting our teeth on this situation, as the candle wax burns with this thing. So, we've been concerned for a while, but, we're hoping he gets cleared.
So I'm not even sure, really, to be honest with you, if Tate Martell doesn't get that waiver, I'm not so sure it's going to be that big of a deal as far as this next season is concerned for Miami. So who's your if Tate Martell doesn't get the waiver, who do you expect to be the starter week 1?
I mean, a lot of people aren't going to believe it, but I would think it would be Nkosi, because Nkosi has the tools. I mean, obviously you got to fix what's in that headspace he got going on. But some guys, hopefully Enos is the guru that we think he is, that he can get what's in between Nkossi's ears to all work out, because he's got all the physical tools and everything. Sometimes it just takes that right guy to, talk to him. Yeah,
last year, first of all, I was calling for him to be put in at the beginning of the season last year. I didn't like the other guy. And when Perry came in there, Rozier, when Perry came in, he had some flashes of he looked really good for a lot of time, but but he definitely made some young guy type mistakes. And of course, there's been a couple of off-field issues with him. Do you know where that stands? You know, do you consider him to be a liability or a risk as far as getting in trouble off the field?
I mean, if I'm being honest and not being biased, I mean, he definitely did his fair knucklehead things.
Yeah.
But once again, you know, it goes back to having a new staff and a new quarterback guru, mentor, whatever you want to have. So, you know, hopefully this guy, can get it situated. But right now, in all honesty, I am a little bit worried, but less worried now that it's in the offensive staff.
Yeah, I hear you. Real quick, there's a caller on the line holding. Just hold another minute. I'm gonna wrap up with this guy, then I'll get to you. So don't hang up. But before we get off the phone, man, I do want to ask you. So, your final thoughts on not only the Week 1 matchup against Florida. I mean, obviously, I know you're going to say you think Miami's going to win, but do you have any particular concerns about that matchup in particular, Week 1, number one, and then number two, how do you see Miami faring in the ACC for the entire season for 2019?
I'm trending towards them, doing well for the overall season. But, I definitely have, the main concern that most Miami fans have is the O-line situation. We definitely got to get that squared away. I mean, there's a bunch of guys on our offensive line that are highly recruited, but more than anybody as a Clemson fan, it's about being efficient in your evaluations because you guys, you guys don't put out a lot of offers, but you guys get the guys that you need. And sometimes, those guys are kind of like diamonds in the rough that you guys get, but they end up, doing big shit when they get there. So that's my biggest concern. Yeah,
so the offensive line is your biggest concern. So how do you, if you had to predict, obviously it's way too early for a prediction, but if you had to predict a final record for Miami at the end of 2019, what do you think it would be? Now, forget about the postseason or bowl games or ACC championships. I'm just talking about the regular season. What would you think your final record would be, just off of what you know right now?
If I'm not showing home cooking, I would say best case 10-2, worst case 9-3.
And I actually tend to agree with that. I think anything less than 9-3 in the regular season would be a disappointment. So I agree with you. And I mean, I think we got a 12. I was gonna say you guys could possibly go 11 wins in the regular season. If you beat Florida.
Right. But there's so many factors you got to have. Every first year coach, they have that one inexplicable loss. You know what I mean? So that's the thing I'm factoring in. Yeah. Well, I agree. All right, man. Listen, I'm gonna pick up this other call, but thanks for calling in, and don't be a stranger, man. Call back in if you ever want to talk about Miami football or anything else. Yeah, definitely, man. I'll be giving a holler soon. All right, man. Appreciate it. All right, bye. All right, so I'm gonna pick up this next call here. Looks like they want to talk about Josh Rosen. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hey, Pete. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up? Who am I speaking with?
This is QC.
Hey, what's up, QC? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. Hey, so you usually stream when I'm at work, but I always pop in. I get your notifications. I leave you a like, and I listen for a little bit. But are you much of an NFL fan? Oh, big time, yeah, man. Here, before you even go on, let me expand on that because that's something I've been wanting to talk about. Because I'm a lifelong NFL fan. I'm a huge Carolina Panthers fan. I'm a huge NFL fan. Now, what I do on YouTube revolves mostly around college football, like 90% of the time. You've probably seen I do some stuff on YouTube as far as the NFL is concerned. But people automatically think about me that if you're a college YouTuber or a college video maker, then you don't follow the NFL, you don't know nothing about the NFL. And that's just not the case. Like, I'm just as big a fan of the NFL. Now, I think college football is better as a product, just personally, but I know just as much about the NFL as I do about college football. So, okay, that's great for my question then, because I'm a Vikings fan. My dad is a Cardinals fan, and we have been just kind of like looking for every opinion we can find on the Josh Rosen thing. So I hear all these YouTubers state their opinions, and I trust some more than others with their knowledge. And I like your mind. I like how you speak on college football. and I wanted to hear what you think the percent chance really is of Arizona ditching Rosen.
That's a good question because, first of all, the main thing that you're going to want to know about me and my personal feelings about Josh Rosen is I don't like him. I wouldn't want him. So if you're a Vikings fan and you're looking at possibly acquiring him, is that the reason you're asking that?
No. My dad is a Cardinals fan is the only reason that I really have my mind on that subject.
Okay.
But
I got you. So here, I think there's probably about a 50-50 chance. Now, I know that's a cop-out because it's, like a weatherman saying it's a 50% chance of rain. But here's the thing. So they traded up to get him last year. So they put a huge investment. They lost a pick over it. And listen, what did he get taken? Like 10th overall or something? 13th? What was it?
I don't remember exactly.
He was like, I think they traded up to 10 to get him or something like that. Yeah, he got taken 10th. I remember now. But so that's a huge investment. Now the thing is they hired Steve Wilkes, who was the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, and they did that draft last year, and obviously they had a terrible year. I mean, they're picking first in the draft this year. That means they had a terrible year. They fired the head coach Wilkes after the first season. They kept the general manager, which I don't understand because he's the one really most responsible for drafting and hiring the head coach, in conjunction with the owners. And then they hire a complete, you couldn't pick a complete polar opposite of a coach from Steve Wilkes to Cliff Kingsbury as far as the way that they run the X's and O's part of the football and the personnel. So I would say that I think that they will probably unload Josh Rosen. If I had to guess, I would say they probably will unload Josh Rosen and draft Kyler Murray number 1 overall. But I'm not sold on that. I think a lot of people out there think that that's a done deal. The reports are that they've already said it's a done deal. They're going to draft Murray, and they're either going to make Josh Rosen a backup and deal him next year, or they're going to deal him this year and try to get some picks for him or something. But I think that's probably the most likely thing, and I think that's probably what they need to do because I'm not a fan of Josh Rosen. I think Josh Rosen he's got a big arm. He's got the big body. He doesn't have the intangibles. He's not a leader or a winner. And I just don't like him. I wouldn't want him if you're one of these teams like the Giants or Washington. Well, Washington just got Keenum. But if you're one of these teams that's looking for a franchise quarterback and you think that you're going to pick up Josh Rosen and he's going to lead you to the promised land, I'm here to tell you he's not. That's my prediction. I just don't. I'm not a believer in Rosen.
Yeah. No, I'm not a huge Rosen fan either. Like I said, I got some love for the Cardinals for my dad, but from what I see from him, I don't like the way he reacts to pressure. I don't trust him in the pocket without I haven't even seen him behind a very good O-line, so I don't know what he would do in that situation, but I don't trust him. But, yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about 90% and things like this. If the Cardinals go through with this and it doesn't work out between them and Kyler Murray, this organization is just going to be in flames. I mean, it already is. But with all the moves that they're making and, keeping a coach for 1 year and all this shit, it just makes the Cardinals organization just look like they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, and doesn't that make you feel sorry for somebody like Larry Fitzgerald, who's, a first ballot Hall of Famer? This guy's stuck with that team. He could have left multiple times. I just feel sorry for that guy, man.
Such a loyal guy.
Yeah.
Too loyal.
But as far as Josh Rosen's concerned, man, I think that he's got the arm, he's got the size. Nothing else he does. He doesn't have the athleticism, I don't think. He doesn't have the killer instinct. When you look at players like Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson, I mean, there's probably 20 quarterbacks, Cam Newton, even people like Jameis Winston who haven't really had good careers, but at least Jameis Winston's got the killer instinct. Josh Rosen does not have that killer instinct. And I would
take Jameis Winston. Josh Rosen any day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one thing. I mean, it's going to hurt either way. No matter what they do, whether they deal away Rosen and get Murray or they keep Rosen, it's still going to be a hit to the organization one way or another. And I still think even if they do everything right in the draft, you're looking at probably another 2 or 3 years before the Cardinals are in the playoff conversation, or at least as far as winning playoff games.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm actually in the middle of cutting my hair. I'm listening to you. I had to call in and ask you that question. So I appreciate you taking my call. And I think 50-50 is a pretty realistic number.
I'll change it to 60-40. I'll say 60% they do trade for, or they do get rid of Rose, and 40 they don't, just so I don't sound like a complete tool.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, appreciate your call, taking my call, and I'll be listening.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yep. Take it easy.
All right. There you have it, folks. There's the QC. Before that, we had a Miami fan call in. Give us his thoughts on Miami football. Anybody else want to call in? The number is 855-902-9368. Let me X out of this real quick and see what's going on in the chat real quick. What's up? Go 1330's in the house. 81 Clemson Tiger 16. Go 1330 says, what's up, Pete? Watching from Acapulco, Mexico. Finally get a chance to catch some live streams. Sir, what are you doing in Mexico? I am officially jealous. I love Mexico. I've only been to Mexico one time. It was on my honeymoon. We stayed on in Puerto Vallarta, or Nueva Vallarta, which is basically the same thing, on the west coast of Mexico. We stayed in this like 5-star resort for like a week. That place was amazing. I love Mexico. And when I was there, I was like, I told my wife, I was like, when we retire and the kids are off and, through college and we're done with all those big bills, we're moving to Mexico, because you can buy a mansion down there for like $200,000. Like, the dollar goes so far down there, it's ridiculous. And I could get used to living down there. Mexico gets a bad rap, So my computer's jumping all around here. Florida and Miami have 3 bye weeks. Yeah, that's another good point there, Nick Bro. Yeah, that's not quite fair, is it? That is true. They get 3 bye weeks because of moving that game up. So it makes sense for those two teams to want to do that for sure. Spider Y2 Banana. What's up, Andrew? How you doing? College football is also a better product, in my opinion. More rivalries, higher stakes, more competitive teams. Yeah, I mean, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So, there's no right or wrong answer to whether college football is better or NFL, or some people don't like either. Some people might like soccer or golf or tennis or whatever, It's just, everyone's got their own opinion. But personally, I do like college football better. But I'll watch any kind of football, period. Castro ENT 512, just here from the Big 12. Love the show. Well, thank you, sir. The Big 12 is a broad statement. Do you have a particular team in the Big 12 that you're a fan of, or just a Big 12 guy all around? Nick Bro says, as a Dolphins fan, I've been hearing news about them taking Tua next year. I'm in the draft, honestly. Yeah, I heard that there's reports out there that the Dolphins are possibly looking at tanking to take Tua number 1 next year. And listen, I don't know if that's true or not. Sounds reasonable. They wouldn't be the first team to do something like that. Does anyone ever wonder why it's Rutgers and not Rutger? What makes it plural? Because Rutger, well, I don't know. I was about to make a case for it, but I have no idea. So I just won't even comment on it. Let me check the phone lines here, see if somebody's on. It looks like the answer is no. Anybody wants to call in? 855-902-9368. My original plan, most of the time when I do these beer drinking streams, I do them later at night. When I'm actually beer drinking time, like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or sometimes even like midnight. I don't have the luxury of doing that tonight, so I had to do it when I could. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in for this. Castro ENT says, just here from the Big 12. Okay, no, he says, A Texas fan. Sir, I don't know where you're at, but you need to, whether it's today or the next time we do a call-in show, you need to call in. I have yet to have a Texas fan call in, and I've got some questions for Texas fans. I do, listen, if you want my initial reaction to Texas, I think Texas is on the rise. I think they've been on the rise for the past couple years. Actually, what Tom Herman's done there within just 2 seasons is actually pretty remarkable, considering the fact that Texas had a decade of just being miserable and all the controversy going on there with all the different coaches and everything else. And when they hired Tom Herman, I said this is a good hire. So it didn't surprise me that Texas had a breakthrough year last year. I still don't think that Texas is quite on Oklahoma's level. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas somehow shocked everybody next year and won the Big 12, but I'm still picking Oklahoma as the best team in the Big 12 in 2019. Now, 2020 could be a completely different story. But they're headed in the right direction for sure. They're recruiting at a high level, and I really like what they're doing as far as the coaching goes. I don't have a whole lot of Texas fans that tune into my show. I've said some things on this YouTube channel that the Texas fans don't like. I'm hard on everybody, though. I'm an equal opportunity hater. So, you know, I give credit where credit's due. One thing that happened is after the, the Sugar Bowl, after Texas beat Georgia, I went right online and made a video as if I was a Georgia fan, and I was trashing Texas. And a bunch of Texas fans came on and saw that, and I don't know if they really thought I was a Georgia fan, even though I was wearing a Clemson hat. And if they would have clicked on my channel, they would have seen I'm a Clemson fan and not a Georgia fan. But I really pissed off some Texas fans with that. But it was good fun, though. All right, let me check and see if anybody's on the line here. Nope. So the call-in studio has run dry currently. What's up, Clemson Carson? How you doing, sir? What I normally do on these beer drinking streams is I don't even usually do call-ins. I just usually answer any questions anybody wants to ask me, and it's really laid back. Obviously, today's a different story. It's earlier, and I didn't do a call-in show yesterday, so I'm trying to make up for that now. And but you can still ask me anything you want in the chat as long as no one's calling. I was disappointed that Georgia came out and showed no heart against Texas. Did they show no heart, or did they just get their ass handed to them? I don't know. Listen, if Nick, bro, I know you're a Georgia fan, but listen, if you're not excited to play in the Sugar Bowl, then I don't know what to tell you. That's a program problem. There's really no excuse for that. And I'm sure you probably agree with me on this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If I were a Georgia fan, I'd be extremely disappointed about it, but I would also give credit to Texas for coming out and showing up. What's up, Cody? Cody, listen, I got, what is it, 46 minutes in. I got 14 more minutes online. Cody, if you have a minute, please call in, because I want to talk to you about that. If you have the time. Otherwise, don't worry about it. I was actually hoping that Cody would call in. He's one of my favorite callers. Indiana big trash, property of Purdue. Are we talking about football here? Because you're talking about Indiana and Purdue. going to be a long day. Basketball, maybe. All right, real quick. While I'm waiting on another call, anybody need a beer? You need a beer? You need a beer? I'm going to get a beer real quick. Marcus Pierce said the Patriots should sign AB. The Patriots aren't going to sign Antonio Brown. It doesn't make sense for them money-wise. Support Archie Miller. Yeah, as far as I know, the Patriots aren't looking at signing Antonio Brown. The only thing IU has on Purdue is those crusty-ass banners from the 70s and 80s. It's a Big Ten fight in here. All right, looks like I got a caller on the line. I'm going to go ahead and take it. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Cody.
Hey, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, what's up? It's Cody?
Yeah, what's up? What's going on, Pete?
Hey, man, you're one of my favorite people to talk to. I'm glad you called in. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, man, no problem. You said you wanted to talk. What's up, man? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so me and Cody, we go back and forth on Twitter a lot. For anybody who doesn't know, Cody is a Panthers fan and a Panthers blogger and a Panthers YouTuber. What else you got going on? Go ahead and plug what you got going on.
Yeah, C3 Carolina Cat Chronicles, live every Tuesday night at 9 on YouTube. Me and my partner Tony Dunn and Joe Riolano. We chop it up with everything new in Panther Nation from the fan perspective. And we've been having a lot of fun. I've been doing it for about a year. And, yeah, that's our stuff, man.
Yeah, so the reason, the thing I like about Cody the most is, first of all, he does great work. I usually can't tune in live. I wish I could. Usually when you guys do the live Cat Chronicles shows every Tuesday night, I'm always busy for some reason or another, but I always go back and watch it later. But on Twitter, see, the thing about Cody that I like is I don't get along with a lot of Carolina Panthers fans, believe it or not, because everybody's got their own opinions on what the team should do, and this player and that player, and the management and free agency and the draft, and even the list goes on and on and on. And people that are like the difference between like me and other Clemson fans and me and other Panthers fans is complete and polar opposite. I butt heads a lot more with Panthers fans than I do with Clemson fans for whatever reason. But the thing I like about Cody is we agree on a lot. I think we have the same sort of mentality and vision for what we want the organization to go in, the direction we want to go in. We don't agree on everything, though, but he doesn't get, if I disagree with him about something or he disagrees with me about something, he doesn't get all personal and offended and, ban me on Twitter and start calling me an idiot and a moron. So that's what I like about Cody the most is that we can actually have an intellectual conversation back and forth about what we feel should happen in the draft and free agency, but nobody gets their feelings hurt and starts crying like a baby about it.
Yeah, and also when I have an opinion, I don't just assert that I'm right. It's just my opinion. So, for example, one of the popular trends on Twitter and just online in general is what do the Panthers do with the first pick in the draft? Some people, I believe like yourself, are saying we need to fix the defensive line and get an edge defender. And I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad at it. I mean, come on. You don't think I want, Cleveland Farrell to be on this team? I would absolutely love that,
right.
I myself personally, I'm just of the mindset that it's time to build the offensive line around Cam Newton. I mean, with a group of no-name receivers in 2015, Cam Newton was an MVP because he had a dominant interior offensive line with Andrew Norwell, Ryan Khalil in his prime, and Trey Turner. So, I try and hear all opinions before I formulate my own, because I don't want an echo chamber. I don't want to just reinforce my own set of beliefs and never hear something different.
Yeah.
Because then I'm doing a disservice to myself.
Yeah, I think where we both agree is we both know that we need an edge rusher. We both know that we need offensive line help. Listen, yeah. I think the main thing that we both disagree with is I do not want to go out in the draft. Now, I'm not talking about free agency, but in the draft, whether it's the first or second round, and go after a wide receiver again. I do not want that.
Oh, yeah, same here. And I think that we have a competent core of wide receivers right now. And then there's always gems later on in the first round. I mean, Antonio Brown was a sixth-round pick. Juju Smith-Schuster was a third-round pick. I mean, there are players at every position, but at wide receiver, later in the draft, there's always that player that's being slept on. Look at Deion Kane from Clemson. He also went in the sixth round, and I don't think that that's a player that's utilized all of his potential either. So, it's definitely a position where there is depth in the later rounds of the draft, no doubt.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, so it's easy to go back and say, Antonio Brown was a sixth-round pick and whatever other player at wide receiver. But the chances of anybody hitting on a player like Antonio Brown or somebody like that in the sixth round is really it's really slim. I think that if you're gonna, the wide receiver is an interesting position because if you look at every Super Bowl team, you need an elite wide receiver, and especially let's put it this way: forget Super Bowl teams. If you look at Carolina's division alone, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans all have elite top 10 wide receivers: Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, Mike Evans. Right? Carolina does not have that.
Yeah.
Now you could say some of these teams don't have an elite running back like McCaffrey. Obviously, New Orleans does with McCaffrey. I mean, with Kamara. But Atlanta, Atlanta doesn't have an elite running back, and neither does really Tampa Bay. But you can switch it all around any way you want to. But the way that the NFL is going today, you do need an elite receiver. And now, how you get him, whether it's through the draft or through free agency, it doesn't matter how you get him, but you got to get him. So that leads me to my next question, because I know you know how I feel about this. And actually, I don't really have a feeling about it, so I don't know why I'm putting it that way. But I know you don't want Antonio Brown, do you? Under any circumstance.
Well, all right. Do I want Antonio Brown, the football player? Hell yeah, I do. I would love to have Antonio Brown. But from what I hear right now, Antonio wants a brand new contract, so it's not like we're trading for the one that he signed with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He wants a brand new one. He wants a brand new one to make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL. I look at it like this: Cam Newton in another year or two has to sign another contract. And I mean, if we don't have Cam Newton on the football team, the only other option I would be happy with, other than Cam Newton, is if for whatever reason we drafted Trevor Lawrence in 2021. But I'm on team Cam Newton. I just don't want to limit. I don't want to limit our ability to be able to move and fulfill the needs of our team in free agency with a contract like Antonio Brown. That's the reason why I don't want him. I'm not even worried about the drama. I mean, but Ron Rivera, love him or hate him, I believe that he promotes an atmosphere that is a team-first atmosphere. So I'm not even worried about all that. I would love to have the player. It's honestly knowing what we would have to pay him in order for him to come here. That's my only reservation.
Yeah, I get that. I'm not so worried about paying him the contract that he's looking for, right around whatever it is, $21 or $22 million a year.
Right.
And I know you're right. He does want a new restructured contract. It's not going to be what the Steelers have him at right now. I think that looking ahead at Cam Newton's contract, I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean that at the end of Cam Newton's contract, there couldn't be other opportunities to make cap space for Cam Newton's contract, number one, and number two, that we couldn't deal away Antonio Brown after a couple of years, to somebody else. So I think that's
right.
There's lots of different ways you can look at it. I think as far as just this year or maybe next year goes, if there's a way that they can get somehow only give up maybe a third round pick at the worst. I don't want to see them give away a first or a second round pick for a trade for Antonio Brown. But if it's a third or a fourth round pick or something along those lines, or maybe a third round pick this year, and maybe a second or third round pick next year, or maybe a third round pick this year and a player that we currently have, something like that, then I'd be for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it was a deal for both of our third rounds and ship Vernon Butler to Pittsburgh in order to get Antonio Brown, I mean, I'm all aboard, man. And honestly, I think that the Steelers, they're going to have to take a deal like that, because I don't know that there's any team right now that's willing to give up a first-round pick for Antonio Brown. Now, I don't know what the Buffalo Bills were willing to give up for Antonio Brown. Maybe it was the 9th pick in the draft. I somehow doubt that. But I don't know, man. If it falls, if the offers fall, and the Steelers are not going to receive a first-round pick from any other team, then, yeah, the Panthers are every bit in it as any other team right now, especially David Tepper as the owner, who comes from the Steelers. I mean, in theory, it's a match made in heaven. Even the offense is somewhat similar, with Cam Newton, a big, powerful quarterback, a pass-catching running back like Christian McCaffrey. There is a lot of similarities there, and he would instantly be the best receiver that Cam Newton has ever thrown the ball to. I mean, far and away. So I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see what a team ends up coughing up for Antonio Brown, because I don't think it'll be a first-round pick.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I don't know if the Bills said exactly what they were offering. I think it was a first-round pick, but that was short-lived. But the reports that I heard were that there was, another 4 or 5 teams waiting in the wings saying that we'll give you, whatever, maybe a third-round pick, or maybe a third-round pick and a player or something if you can offer that. So somebody's going to get him. I think it's going to be Oakland. But here's the other thing, though, is before last night, nobody was talking about the Bills getting him, were they? I mean, I didn't hear that. It was all the Raiders. No,
I never heard that at all.
Yeah, so you never know who's going to come out of the woodwork, man. It could be anybody, as far as we know, that makes the move for him. I do think he would be a good fit.
The Raiders have 3 first-round picks. So if anyone has the capital to be able to do it, it is them. I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, the fact that they shipped out Amari Cooper, which, by the way, Amari Cooper is nowhere near Antonio Brown. But I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me that you ship out a first-round wide receiver just to bring in another one and pay him even more money. I mean, the whole point is that they're trying to build their roster from the ground up. I mean, they didn't pay Khalil Mack, of all people.
Yeah.
So, but you're all right, though. I think that right now the Raiders and probably San Francisco are, in my mind, the 2 favorites to land him, just because they have the money and the picks to do it.
See, what I heard was, and you never know, when you read stuff all over the internet, you never know what's true and what's not. I did hear that San Francisco pretty much said they don't want him. I don't know how true that is. So, and the same thing with the Jets. So, but listen, I don't think that Carolina is going to get Antonio Brown. I just don't think for a few. I don't think, out of all these teams that are in the running for him, unless Carolina makes some major moves as far as freeing up cap space in the next few days, I just don't see it happening. They have just enough cap space to get him, but I mean, you're talking about that's it. Like, unless they make some moves, they'll have nothing left after they get him. So I out of all the teams, they have like the least amount of cap space. I do think, though, out of all the teams, that he really has the best fit as far as the offense goes and the organization and the quarterback, because we know that Antonio Brown has a personal relationship with Cam Newton. And love it or hate it, it might be it might be childish, it might be not. But Antonio Brown has said, I mean, publicly on the interview he did on ESPN this weekend, is that he values a personal relationship with his quarterback. So, I mean, Antonio Brown, whether you agree with it or not, this guy wants to go somewhere with a veteran quarterback who he feels like he can trust. And I think he feels like he could trust Cam Newton. I don't know how he feels about Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or the rest of these teams that are in the running, or Derek Carr or whatever his name is. But I think he would fit well in Carolina as far as the personnel goes, especially with Eric Reed. You know, controversial players seem to do okay in Carolina. I think the organization allows for it. I don't think the money's there, though. That's the main thing. Now, whether we pick him up or not, I'm not gonna get my feelings hurt either way. The only way I get my feelings hurt is if they gave up a first or second round pick to get him. Anything other than that, I'm all for it.
And, you know, you might disagree with this also, because, and again, I do agree with you. I do want to bolster the offensive line. The defensive line, rather. And, you know, and also, real quick, everyone, you know, if you say you want to go one position or the other in round one, you know, people pretend like that's the only pick that you have in the draft. So it's like if you go offensive line, you won't have the opportunity to go defensive line. So ultimately, throughout the draft, I hope that we fill, you know, all the needs that we have, and I think that it's a good draft for us to be able to do so. But if for whatever reason Antonio Brown signs with the Panthers, then, man, I hope it's a tackle round one and a center round two. I don't want to hear all those people on Twitter talking about Cam Newton not being able to get him the football or overthrowing him or all of this nonsense. I mean, it wasn't a problem with Steve Smith. It wouldn't be a problem with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown would easily be the best wide receiver that Cam Newton has ever thrown to by far. But if that happens, Cam Newton has to have time in the pocket to be able to deliver him the football. And you have to be able to spend meaningful draft capital on your offensive line in order for that to happen. And with all the health concerns that he's been going through the past 2 years, I mean, that's why I've really been riding this train hard of it's time to protect our franchise. And Cam Newton is the most important player in our franchise.
Well, I'm with you. Listen, that's another thing that me and you agree on is we're both Cam Newton lovers, and you know,
absolutely.
I always have been, always will be. I mean, he's not perfect. He's not the best passer in the world, but the guy's a baller, and he's an absolute freak of an athlete, and is a winner at every level he's ever played at. He's been a winner. And I listen. People don't like his attitude and this and that. I love it. And I don't know if you might have missed my rant.
Oh, I do too.
You might have missed my rant that I went on at the beginning of this stream when I was talking about people like Cam Newton and Antonio Brown who get all the hate as far as the media is concerned and other fans. I love it. I love their attitude. I love wearing your heart on the sleeve. I love not having to guess whether or not they're being real or fake. You know what you're getting with these people. And I hate passive aggressive people like Ben Roethlisberger. And you know what, Russell Wilson, I'm not saying Russell Wilson's a bad guy because by all accounts, he's a great guy. And, everyone loves him. But Russell Wilson, you put him in front of a camera and he's about as fake as it gets. Now, I'd rather have a Cam Newton who pouts and walks off of the set and says something about a female reporter, but I know he's being real, than a Russell Wilson who gets up there and goes, "Oh, the 12th man, every man for himself. We're just we're all here for the team. We're all here for Seattle. Blah blah blah." It's like it's right. A script is written for him, and you don't know. I don't trust anybody in this world who doesn't get mad at anything. Period. And Russell Wilson has never he's never got mad at anything. Have you ever seen Russell Wilson get in front of a camera and spout off some nonsense? I don't trust people like that, man. This is he going to go home and kick his dog? I mean, you got to take your frustration out somehow. Nobody's that nice.
And you know what? It's funny that you said Ben Roethlisberger, because I cannot stand Ben Roethlisberger. And everyone wants to talk about Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown providing this toxic environment, and Mike Tomlin, promotes that kind of crap. Dude, and Ben Roethlisberger chastises everyone, puts himself before everyone.
Yeah.
But when he'll throw an interception, he'll blame a receiver on him being incompetent. And then, a few years ago, he wanted to say, oh, maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm washed up. Who knows? After he threw 5 interceptions against Jacksonville. And then after when they drafted the Oklahoma State quarterback, you probably remember his name. I don't. The quarterback at Oklahoma State.
Rudolph.
Yeah. The tall white dude.
Rudolph.
Yeah, I believe that's his name. Then, he wanted to act all pissed off when they drafted a quarterback when he was on camera saying, hey, maybe I don't have it anymore. Maybe I'm not this. Maybe I'm not that. So, okay, which one is it then? Ben, I'm not a fan of Ben Roethlisberger for off-the-field stuff.
Yeah,
I also think that Matthew Stafford is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. I have no idea why they paid him, but hey, that's just my opinion, man.
Yeah, no, listen, Matthew Stafford, you can debate his play on the field, but Matthew Stafford's never gone out there and trashed his teammates. Ben Roethlisberger is the most toxic player in the NFL. People want to point their finger at Antonio Brown.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But this guy, he threw his offensive coordinator under the bus after that playoff game that they lost in the last play of the game. He goes in the media and trashes his own players. I've never heard any player, current or former or current player, that's ever gone out of their way to say anything nice about Ben Roethlisberger. If I was Antonio, I think Antonio Brown's actually been pretty nice. He never threw Ben Roethlisberger under the bus while he was playing there. He's doing it now because he's been thrown under the bus so many times. I don't blame the guy. You could say he's got a blonde mustache and blue hair, and he's a weirdo. I don't care. If I was Antonio Brown, I'd smack the living shit out of Ben Roethlisberger. He's a punk.
Hell yeah, man, dude. And let's not forget, dude's a rapist. Okay, more than one woman accused him of being an utter douche. Okay, so it's like, how many other people would have that rap sheet of off-the-field issues and not be thrown under the bus on every single turn?
Yeah.
It's incredible. And if you, another thing, listen, the man's a good football player. I'm not going to take that away from him. But when you look at the level of talent Big Ben has had around him ever since he stepped foot in Pittsburgh, he's always had a dominant offensive line. He's always had top-tier receivers. Jerome Bettis was his running back when he was drafted into the NFL. The dude has talent all around him. Bringing it back to Cam Newton, on the other hand, no one is asked to do more with less than Cam Newton out of every other quarterback in the NFL, and I stand by that.
That's true. Yeah, the Steelers is a great organization. That's why I don't understand what their fascination with Ben Roethlisberger is. I think he's won a couple of Super Bowls. You can't take that away from him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but me neither. You put a lot of players on that team that with the defense and the offensive players they've had over the years that he's been there, most players are going to be successful unless they're incompetent. And so he's really been the product of being a part of a great organization, having great players around him. And people always want to point to Antonio Brown and say you're lucky to have Ben Roethlisberger. You go somewhere else, you're not going to have Ben Roethlisberger. Well, you know what? Maybe Ben Roethlisberger's been lucky to have Antonio Brown too. It goes both ways.
Thanks you, man. Thanks you. That's what I've been saying. Ben Roethlisberger has been the beneficiary of some of the better offensive rosters in the NFL since the moment he stepped foot on the field.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100% agreement.
Yeah. All right, man. Listen, my computer's about to die, so I'm gonna have to get off here. But I was only planning on going for an hour, but you kept me on for 10 more minutes because you're such a great caller. I could talk to you for hours about football.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hopefully, you and I can do some more stuff in the future in a more official official manner, man. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be fun.
Definitely.
But, yeah, man, whenever you want me to call in, man, yeah, I love the show, support the channel. Anything to, cheer for my Clemson Tigers, man. Someone brought up the spring game coming up soon, and, dude, time flies, man. It's insane.
Hey, I'm going to be there.
Right around the corner.
I'm going to be there.
Oh, you nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Have fun, man. Have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, all right. I support the show. Much love, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man.
All
Peace.
All right, so everybody go check out Cody, Carolina Cat Chronicles, and he's got some other stuff going on. Tiger Nation, I'm sorry, I've been waiting to get to your super chat, sir, since Cody called. Tiger Nation coming through with a $5 super chat that enters him into the contest, and of course, Tiger Nation is my man. Tiger Nation will be, at least I think, you can confirm or deny this, sir. Tiger Nation is going to be at the spring game with me. Here's the people I know that are going so far for sure. Me, Prince 6'1", Tiger Nation, Bobby Durkins, and I think somebody messaged me the other day and said they were going. So anybody who's going to be in the Clemson, South Carolina area on April 6th, Saturday, the day of the spring game, you guys want to come hang out, tailgate, cause some trouble, drink some beer, let me know. Hit me up. And I will be doing some recordings from there, so we'll let you know where we are if you guys want to come hang out. I'd love to see any of you. Anyway, listen, my computer's about to die. I see a lot of people coming in here. KOS Sports, sir, come hang out with us. He says he'll be there. SEC Football Tube's coming in here now. Listen, guys, you're all amazing. You're all fantastic. I'm just getting started, man. It's Friday night. Everybody relax. I hope you had a good week of work. Hope you're going to relax tonight. Have you a couple cold beers. Relax. MCD Sports 4. What's up, man? What's up, sir? I'm about to get off because my computer's about to die. Listen, you're all amazing. You're all fantastic. Thank you to Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow. Thank you to Tiger Nation for the super chats. Thank you to the Patreon members. Billy Dawson, Tiger Nation, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow, Border Bob, and, of course, my man, DeGoat Watson. Ben Roethlisberger's a punk. And so is the LSU basketball team. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.